Imagine for a moment that the whole world we live in is nothing more than a vast but magnificently disguised prison. At first glance, the idea sounds like the plot of a science fiction novel, but if we look closely, we may discover that the bars that confine us are not as invisible as we suppose. The Earth, the only home we know, is surrounded by endless cosmic wasteland, like an island in the ocean where our ships still can't escape its magnetic field. We're under constant surveillance, from satellites that track us on every move to the internet that knows everything about us more than we're comfortable admitting. And yet, this prison planet gives us life, love, beauty, and opportunities for countless adventures. But the question remains, our freedom is limited by the inevitable laws of nature, but also by social, political, and economic systems that dictate how we live and the extent to which we can escape. This theory is not meant to sow pessimism, but to provoke thought. Whether our lives are defined by the visible and invisible walls that surround us, and how can we find true freedom within this prison? Let us ask ourselves if this prison is not only in our minds, and what it means to find a way out where others see only walls. Let us again imagine the Earth as a gigantic prison where we, the prisoners, are confined by the invisible walls of physical laws. We cannot fly out into the open space without a special equipment, just as a prisoner cannot pass through steel bars without a key. Every attempt we make to escape collides with the limitations of technology and our own biological limitations. Our guards are omnipresent, not in the form of guards, but in the form of social norms, governmental laws, and economic systems that govern every aspect of our lives. From the way we communicate to the clothes we wear to the work we do, everything is regulated and controlled. Yet in this prison called Earth, we have found a way to flourish. We have created arts, cultures, sciences, and philosophies that allow us to express our discontent and quest for freedom. We use words analogously to tunnel diggers who blaze trails to new ideas and possibilities, beyond the narrow confines of our supposed cells. But what if one day we find a way to break through these walls? If our ships finally break free from the gravitational reach of our closed courtyard and sail into the unexplored depths of space, that would be our great liberation, our cosmic great escape. And so, our Earth, this complex and multi-layered prison we were born into, may be just the starting point of a greater journey in search of freedom that leads to the vast universe, waiting to be mastered by those who have the courage to confront the guards and find a path to true freedom. Traveling back in time, we encounter countless historical civilizations whose counters of freedom have been drawn by the firm hand of power. In ancient Egypt, for example, the pharaohs ruled with absolute authority over their subjects, who believed that the ruler was a god on earth. They were convinced that the heavenly order was reflected in the earthly hierarchy, and so they accepted the destiny as divinely determined. In the Middle Ages, the feudal system of Europe also created a kind of prison society where serfs were locked into the lands of the feudal lord without the right to mobility or the ability to change their social status. The Empire of China, with its Great Wall, stands as a metaphor for the imprisoned people behind it. The wall, supposedly built to protect against the incursions of barbarians, can also be seen as a symbol of the isolation and control of the people within the emperor's borders. We cannot ignore the USSR, with its Iron Curtain, which divided Eastern and Western Europe during the Cold War. This metaphorical and literal barrier not only restricted the physical movement of people, but also stiflified freedom of thought and speech. In these historical societies, prison structures were introduced under various pretexts: protection, order, welfare. But in all cases, they restricted the freedom of individuals and served to maintain a status in which power and control were in the hands of the few. Thus, looking at historical context, we see how societies have created their own prison systems, which, under the guise of the public good, have often served to suppress human freedom and creativity. The question arises again: how far are we today from those models of governance and power? Or rather, how have we transformed them to meet our modern prison needs? Let us consider those thinkers whose ideas shake the foundations of our prison. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the philosopher who proclaimed that man is born free but everywhere in chains, shines among them. Rousseau proposed the idea of a social contract, an agreement whereby individuals surrender some of their freedom to the community to ensure a better existence for all. But isn't this agreement just a mere elegant form of the chains that keep us locked into the social order? These are other figures, such as Socrates, who centuries ago in Athens confronted social norms and was condemned for corrupting the youth and not acknowledging the gods of the city. His courage to question established truths and seek deeper meaning in life can be seen as an attempt to escape from the prison of narrow mindfulness. We cannot ignore Galileo Galilei, who dared to support the heliocentric theory despite the threat of the Inquisition. His ideas represented a symbolic breaking down of the walls of the scientific prison in which the Church had imprisoned itself. And we will not miss Henry David Thoreau, who in his book Civil Disobedience expressed the thought that the best government is the one that governs least. Thoreau was sent to prison for refusing to pay his taxes that would have funded slavery and war, and thus showed the individual consciousness could stand above the laws of prison. These thinkers, radically different in time and place, are linked by the common thread of their struggle to expand the boundaries of human freedom. They are architects of thought who not only recognized the walls of their prison, but found ways to break light through them, showing us that chains can be broken and walls can be torn down. Beyond the twilight of past ages, in the light of our modern morning, the world seems vast and immense. And yet, even today, in the seemingly endless expanse of the internet and everyday life, wrapped in technological marvels, we find the new sentinels of our modern prison. Social media, those colorful gardens of self-expression, turn out to be a maze of mirrors reflecting our own face every second. Every share, every like, every message is recorded, analyzed, and converted into data that is sold to the highest bidder. Our tastes, interests, and thoughts are turned into digital codes that are locked away in virtual folders and sold as commodities in the marketplace of attention. Tax systems, those mighty channels of economic order, are like nets casting into the sea of our laborers. Very often that act as shackles that restrict our ability to move freely in the commercial ocean, obligating us to give a portion of our catch to the captains of the ship. And what about surveillance? The cameras that track our every move, the software that knows our every click on the web, even the smart devices in our homes that listen in on our conversations. They are like the invisible eyes of all-seeing prison warden. In the name of security, we are willing to sacrifice a piece of our freedom, and so, unnoticed, we find ourselves in prison by constant surveillance. Thus, in this age of information and globalization, we find that despite the illusion of unlimited freedom, we actually live in a more finely woven prison than even before. Our prison is modern, with glowing screens and high-speed internet, but its walls are as real as those of the fortresses of the past. The freedom we seek may not lie in abolishing those systems, but in learning how to live with them without being constrained by their invisible bars. The philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre stated that the existence precedes essence, and places the individual at the center of his own creation. In his universe, freedom of choice is absolute, but weighs on the shoulders of the individual with the weight of responsibility. According to Sartre, we're condemned to be free in every moment, with every breath. Our choices define who we are. But is the freedom an illusion when faced with the implicable walls of scientific laws? Scientific constraints like gravity are those indivisible forces that bring us back to Earth every time we try to jump. It's like an invisible chain that keeps us firmly on the surface of our planetary cell. We can dream of flying to the stars, but ultimately, we are tied to this rocket orbiting the sun. The speed of light, that cosmic speed limit, also puts a limit to our dreams of interstellar travel. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, nothing can travel faster than light in a vacuum. This makes interstellar distances virtually inaccessible, locking us into the cosmic backyard of our solar system. These scientific truths are intertwined with the philosophical idea of predestination. If all events in the universe are predetermined by initial conditions and natural laws, do we really have the freedom we dream of? Are we not just particles in the giant quantum computer of the universe whose program is written by the forces of physics? Space exploration is like distant glances through the bars of a cell, glances that try to discover new worlds. So far, humanity has only managed to set foot on the moon and send robotic explorers to the other parts of our solar system. But the colonization of our planets remains only in the realm of science fiction and far-off plans. The reasons are many, from technical and economical to social and ethical. Space travel is extremely expensive, and life beyond Earth poses challenges such as cosmic radiation, zero gravity, and lack of oxygen and water. But is it possible that, somewhere out there in the infinite void, there are other life forms locked in their own prisons? Studies of planets such as Mars and the moons of Jupiter and Saturn suggest that the oceans may lie beneath their surface, and where there is water, there may be life. If we discover life beyond Earth, it will radically change our perspective on the prison we were born into. It could prove that we are part of a larger cosmic community and that our prison walls are not as unique as we thought. But as long as these discoveries remain in the future, we can only dream of discovering new worlds and the freedom that may exist beyond the stars. Paradoxically, we seem to be in an age-old battle with our own creations, in a world where technology is both cage and a key to freedom. At the heart of this paradox lies the ecological constraints that manifest as dark clouds over our future. Climate change is like an implacable watchdog, already reacting to our technological crimes against nature. Rising global temperatures, melting glaciers, increasing extreme weather events are signals that our planet cannot bear the endless stress we are causing it. Technology, on the other hand, may be the tool that we have that potentially break down our prison walls. Renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, innovative water and air purification technologies are like rays of light in our ecological prison. But these technologies need time, resources, and above all, public will to turn them from possibility to reality. As we struggle to find the balance between progress and conservation, our planet continues to remind us that any moment we can turn from masters of the earth to prisoners of the consequences of our actions. Our journey through the prison called Earth is illuminated by moments of insight, but also darkened by shadows of uncertainty. According to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, atmospheric carbon dioxide concentrations have reached levels not seen in 800,000 years. Before his death, expert Stephen Hawking warned that the future of humanity was in jeopardy unless we turned to the stars. These words seek to urge us to seek our freedom in the infinite expanse of the universe. Whether the walls of our prison called Earth will narrow due to our reckless actions, or whether we will be able to find a last-minute escape route to the vastness of the universe, only time will tell. Nevertheless, over the years we have created mobility and freer access to the various wings of our prison, allowing us to live out our days, enjoying its beautiful corners and the opportunities they offer. Share your thoughts on this, subscribe to the channel, and share the video if you liked it.